The wind howled through the cave like a lover's whisper, cold and insistent against my skin. I shivered, my silver fur matted with blood, my body aching from days of running. The Blood Fawn clan had hunted me to the edge of survival, and now, curled against the stone floor, I could feel the last of my warmth slipping away. Then, heat. A scent, unfamiliar and intoxicating, wrapped around me before I even opened my eyes. Smoke. Leather. The salt tang of a man's skin. My breath hitched as sensation returned, the rough press of bandages against my wounds, the crackle of fire nearby, and, most intoxicating of all, the solid weight of a body pressed against mine. I stirred, my lashes fluttering open. He was there. A stranger, his skin golden in the firelight, his muscles taut as he held me against him. His heat seeped into me, chasing away the ice in my veins. His hands, calloused from work, yet so careful, had bound my wounds, but now they rested possessively against my ribs, as if he couldn't bear to let go. I should have tensed. I should have bared my teeth. Instead, I melted. His scent was everywhere, warm and male, laced with something deeper, something that made my pulse quicken. My blood recognized his before my mind did. The moment he had touched me, something primal had awakened, a thread of fate pulling taut between us. Mine. The thought was instinct, undeniable. He shifted, his breath fanning over my throat, and I felt the hard planes of his body align with mine. My fur prickled, sensitive to every point of contact, his thigh pressed between mine, his chest rising and falling against my back. I could hear the steady drum of his heartbeat, strong and sure, and something inside me answered it. When he spoke, his voice was rough, unfamiliar with our tongue, but the sound curled low in my belly.
You're alive.
Not a question. A realization. I turned in his arms, needing to see him fully. His eyes, dark as the space between stars, locked onto mine. There was wariness there, but something else, too. A heat that mirrored my own. The firelight danced over his skin, highlighting the strength in his shoulders, the stubborn set of his jaw. A human. A man. And yet, when his fingers brushed a strand of fur from my face, the touch burned like a brand. I leaned into it. His breath caught. The cave was silent except for the crackling flames and the unspoken hunger between us. He didn't understand what this was, what I was, but his body did. His grip tightened, pulling me closer, and I let him. The Blood Fawn clan could wait. Destiny was here, wrapped in heat and hard muscle, and I had no intention of letting go. His hands were still on me when I woke, one curled possessively around my hip, the other splayed across my ribs. The fire had burned low, leaving only embers to paint his skin in flickering gold. I could feel the steady rise and fall of his chest against my back, the heat of him sinking into my bones. I should have pulled away. Instead, I pressed closer. A low sound rumbled in his throat, not quite human, not quite protest. His fingers flexed against my fur, dragging lightly down my side. The touch sent a shiver through me, sharp and sweet. Mine. The thought was a growl in my blood. I turned in his arms, needing to see his face. His eyes were already open, dark and watchful. There was caution there, but beneath it, something hotter. Something that made my pulse thrum.
You're warm,
he murmured, his voice rough with sleep. A laugh curled in my chest. Warm? I was burning. His scent was everywhere, smoke and iron and something deeper, something that made my teeth ache. I wanted to taste it. To taste him. My claws pricked against his skin, just enough to make his breath catch. His gaze dropped to my mouth. The air between us thickened. Then, a sound outside the cave. Distant, but unmistakable. The Blood Fawn. His body tensed, his grip tightening on me. We need to move. I bared my teeth in a silent snarl. Let them come. Let them see what happened to those who tried to take what was mine. But the man was already rising, pulling me with him. His hands lingered, tracing the bandages he'd wrapped around my wounds.
Can you run?
I tilted my head, studying him. The set of his jaw. The way his muscles coiled, ready for battle. He didn't understand the bond between us, not yet. But he would. Oh, he would. I caught his wrist, dragging his fingers to my lips. His skin was salt and heat, his pulse jumping under my tongue. His eyes darkened. Later, I promised. Then I let him go, and we ran. The frozen waste stretched before us, endless and cruel. My breath came in sharp bursts, crystallizing in the air as I ran beside him. Even in the biting cold, his human body radiated heat, too much heat. He was burning through his strength too quickly. I could smell his exhaustion, his pain. And his blood. That tantalizing scent wrapped around me, thick and heady in the thin air. The wound on his shoulder, my mark, had reopened during our flight. Each crimson drop staining the snow was a beacon for the blood-fang hunters. Still he ran. Still he fought. A howl shattered the night, too close. I grabbed his arm, pulling us both behind a jagged ice formation. His body collided with mine, all hard muscle and ragged breath. "You're hurt," I growled, nostrils flaring at the scent of his blood. He shook his head, jaw clenched.
Keep moving.
I pressed closer, unable to resist the pull of his warmth. "Your ship," I demanded. "How far?" His eyes darkened.
Close. If we can reach it, dash.
Another howl cut through the night, closer this time. My claws dug into his arm. "Then run, Starman," I breathed against his lips. "And when we're safe, I'll show you why your blood calls to me." A shudder ran through him. His grip on my waist tightened almost painfully. We ran. The ice cracked beneath our feet. The wind screamed in our ears. Behind us, the Bloodfang's cries grew louder, hungrier. But ahead, salvation. His metal bird waited, wounded but still breathing, just like us. I bared my teeth in something between a snarl and a smile. Almost there. Almost mine. The ship loomed before us, a wounded beast of metal and fire, its hull scorched from the crash. The ramp hung open like a broken jaw, beckoning us inside. His hand tightened around mine as we sprinted the final stretch. I could hear the bloodfang now, their snarls, their pounding footsteps, the hungry rasp of their breath. Too close. Far too close. A spear of ice shattered beside my head. I whirled, shoving him behind me with a snarl. My claws unsheathed, glinting in the pale light. Let them come. Let them taste my fury. But his hand closed around my wrist.
No.
He growled, yanking me backward.
We go. Now.
The ramp hissed shut behind us, sealing out the night and the hunters with it. The ship groaned to life around us, lights flickering as systems awakened. He moved through the tight space with practiced ease, hands flying over controls, his brow furrowed in concentration. I watched him, the way his muscles tensed beneath his torn shirt, the way his jaw clenched with each warning alarm that blared through the cabin. Mine. And yet... The ship lurched violently. A warning light flashed red.
They're on the hull.
He snapped. I could hear them too, the scrape of claws on metal, the snarls vibrating through the ship's bones. My lips peeled back from my teeth. "Let me out," I demanded. His head whipped toward me, eyes blazing.
No.
The engines roared to life. The world tilted as we shot skyward, the force slamming me against him. His arms locked around me, holding me upright as the ship shuddered and screamed. Through the view screen, Frosthaven fell away beneath us, ice and blood and war left behind in the wake of fire. Silence settled over the cabin, heavy and thick. His breath was warm against my neck. His heart pounded against my back. Slowly, I turned in his arms. His gaze dropped to my mouth. No more running. I smiled. Now we play. The ship's ambient lighting cast long shadows across the control deck as I circled him, my paws making no sound against the metal floor. His breathing had gone shallow. I could hear the rapid flutter of his heartbeat, smell the salt of his skin as his body responded to my proximity. "Look at me," I commanded, my voice a low growl that vibrated through the space between us. When he turned, his pupils were blown wide with desire, lips slightly parted. The sight sent a thrill through me, my tail lashing behind me in anticipation. I closed the distance slowly, letting him see every movement, giving him time to pull away. He didn't. My clawed hands found his shoulders, marveling at the contrast between his smooth human skin and my furred arms. I leaned in, nuzzling along his jawline, breathing in his scent ozone from the ship's systems, the musk of his exertion, and beneath it all, the intoxicating aroma that was uniquely his. "You're trembling," I observed, running my tongue along the shell of his ear. Not from fear, I would have smelled that immediately. No, this was pure anticipation. His hands came up to grip my waist, fingers sinking slightly into my thick fur.
Maybe you should do something about that.
He challenged, his voice rough. A growl built in my chest as I pushed him back against the pilot's chair. The material creaked under our combined weight as I straddled his lap, my tail curling possessively around his thigh. I could feel his growing arousal pressing against me, and my own body responded in kind, heat pooling low in my belly. I captured his mouth in a searing kiss, all teeth and tongue and barely restrained hunger. He groaned into it, hands roaming up my back, fingers tangling in the thicker fur at my nape. The sensation sent electric sparks dancing along my spine. Breaking the kiss, I trailed my mouth down his throat, nipping lightly at the sensitive skin. His gasp was music to my ears. My claws made careful work of his shirt, rending the fabric to expose his chest. I laved my tongue over one peaked nipple, reveling in the way his back arched off the chair.
God, your mouth.
He groaned, fingers tightening in my fur. I chuckled darkly, the sound vibrating against his skin. "Not a god," I murmured between kisses down his torso. "But I'll take your worship all the same." When I reached the waistband of his pants, I looked up through my lashes, meeting his heated gaze. With one claw, I carefully sliced through the fabric, freeing his erection. The scent of his arousal was intoxicating, and I nuzzled against him, breathing him in before taking him into my mouth. His shout echoed through the cabin, his hips jerking involuntarily. I pinned him down with one hand on his stomach, the other gripping his thigh as I worked him with my tongue, alternating between slow, languid strokes and quick, teasing flicks. The taste of him of salt and musk and something indefinably him made my own need burn brighter. When his breathing became ragged, his fingers clutching desperately at my ears, I pulled back with a wet pop. He made a sound of protest that turned into a groan as I rose up, positioning myself over him. "Look at me," I demanded again, and his hazy eyes focused on mine as I sank down onto him in one slow, deliberate motion. The stretch was exquisite, the fullness making my claws extend reflexively, scoring light marks into his hips. I rolled mine experimentally, relishing the way his breath hitched, how his hands flew to my waist to steady us both.
Damn, you feel.
His words dissolved into a growl as I began to move, setting a slow, grinding rhythm that had us both panting. The angle allowed him to hit that perfect spot inside me with every thrust, pleasure building like a storm. My fur stood on end with each delicious friction, my tail lashing wildly behind me. Leaning forward, I braced my hands on the back of the chair, my breath coming in hot pants against his neck. "Harder," I growled, nipping at his jaw. His grip tightened, and suddenly he was surging up into me with renewed intensity, the chair creaking dangerously beneath us. The new angle was devastating, each thrust sending waves of pleasure crashing through me. I could feel my climax building, coiling tight in my core. When his hand slipped between us to rub tight circles over my sensitive bundle of nerves, I shattered with a cry, my claws digging into his shoulders as pleasure ripped through me. The rhythmic clenching of my body around him dragged him over the edge moments later, his release spilling deep inside me with a guttural growl of my name. We stayed like that for long moments, both of us breathing heavily, my forehead resting against his. Eventually, I lifted myself off him with a satisfied hum, stretching luxuriously before curling against his side. His fingers automatically found their way into my fur, stroking absently as we both came down from our highs. The ship continued its steady course through the stars, but for now, all that mattered was this: the warmth of his body against mine, the scent of our joining heavy in the air, and the quiet certainty that he was mine, just as I was his.